Production company owner James Paul for a refund of the money he paid to make a music video. James's counterswing for slander and defamation of character.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 153 on the calendar in the matter of Howard versus Paul. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sirs, have seats.
Mr. Howard, according to your complaint, sir, you retained the defendant's services in making a video. You gave him a deposit of $5,000. You canceled the project and you want your deposit back.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says that he did a lot of work on your video. If you didn't want to continue, that's your problem. And he is counterclaiming because he alleges that you slandered him by making a false report to the police that he had threatened you. Is that right, sir? Let's hear about the video.
Your Honor, I'm a musician, and ever since I was a young boy, I kind of want...
Mr. Howard?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You understand?
All right.
Young boy, how old are you now?
40.
40? I don't have time.
Okay. All right.
Let's get to the video.
Okay, just in a nutshell, Your Honor, I wanted to do a music video. I went to a very prominent organization that referred me to him, and unbeknownst to me, she made a deal with him where he would pay her $500 for the referral. And I contacted him, and I discovered that he had some very influential associations with a big-time entertainment company. So he said...
Just a minute. You discussed your video with him?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a music video?
Yes, ma'am.
You are a producer?
I own a company that produces productions.
What was the total fee?
It was $10,000. And he said that he was going to throw in freebies because this was his first music video. I brought my entire concept to him. I explained that I had my own scenes and everything that I wanted to do, and that all I needed was for him to film it.
$10,000 for the video. Did you sign a contract with him?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see the contract. This is a contract case. Okay. So you gave him a $5,000 deposit. You have that check, sir?
Yes, ma'am. But prior to signing the contract, we had negotiated for him to hold a check for me until I had a time to have an attorney friend review the contracts. He did not hold the checks. He cashed them prior to me signing the contract. And then when I called him, he was threatening me, talking about, you know, he spent all this time with me.
We'll get to that, sir. You signed the contract. You gave him a check.
Well, I gave him the check, and 2 weeks later, before I even signed the contract.
Can I please see copies of the checks?
Yes, ma'am. This is the first one. I cleared the very next day. And this is the one that cleared later, prior to me even being able to sign the contracts.
You signed the contracts on the 12th of March.
Yes, ma'am.
One check is dated March 7th. They're both dated March 7th. Explain that to me.
He kept pressuring me, telling me I was wasting his time, and he so pressured me and bullied me into doing it. I said, well, just to show you that I'm serious about considering to do the video, here is $2,500. Please hold this until I can have someone review the contract.
That's not the way you do business, sir, so I'm not paying any attention to that. If you sign a contract, you sign a contract. Now, what I want to know is, when you canceled this contract?
Right after the threat.
Well, what date was that?
That was 2 weeks after the threat, because I didn't know what to do.
Give me a date.
April 7th.
So about a month. Now, during the course of that month, did you have meetings with Mr. Paul?
We had meetings prior to the threat, and this was in an effort to...
I'm not getting to the threat yet, sir. The threat has to do with...
Yes, ma'am. We had a lot of meetings.
All right. I assume, Mr. Paul, that you did not do any work prior to the contract being signed.
Actually, we did do work prior to the contract, discussing about creatives, because we don't begin doing creatives unless we have a deposit.
Right. Well, you can discuss it all you like, but prior to signing a contract, it's all just a pitch. Right?
Yeah,
right.
pretty much.
All right. I want to know, between the 12th of March, at the time that he signed the contract, and the 7th of April, I want to know approximately how much time you spent with him.
67 hours, phone calls just about every single evening, excluding one weekend when I went to visit my folks.
Now, you say 67 hours. Do you have that documented anywhere? Because that's a pretty precise number.
Whenever I have a meeting with somebody, I just document down that time for that. It's just standard business practice.
Okay.
And because he required so much time, more than even the large clients that I have.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Can I finish? I had to cancel other productions because obviously if someone pays a deposit to do a production, they're priority over new business coming in. So it was to my best interest to get this done the way he wanted it to, under the budget and conditions that state. He didn't understand the fact that the more things you use in a production, the more time it takes, the more money it costs.
That's not true, Your Honor. He would always delete it, take everything out that I was presenting, and that, moreover, with the threats is why I wanted to just be done with it. Because I was paying him, it's very emotional for me, Your Honor, because I'm trying to do this for my mother before she passes. And he rejected everything. I was paying him to do my ideas. And he didn't want that. He wanted to do his ideas.
Mr. Howard, what you do usually before you retain a company that you don't know much about, you have a lot of preliminary meetings with them and you make a decision as to whether or not this is a company that you want to use before you sign the contract.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I asked him what he would do if I withdrew from the contract because I was afraid of him.
Yes.
And he said he would put a gun to my head.
If you're going to lie, think of something a little bit more believable.
And later today,
What was the agreement then?
That they would pay us $500 a month for the material.
After they moved in?
After they moved in.
They
and
never moved
then-
in.
No, they didn't. So,
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Grafton Howard says production company owner James Paul owes for a refund of the money he spent to make a music video.
Tell me about the threat, sir, that you allege he made to you and when it was.
Every time I found out that he was not doing what I was asking him to do, I would call and ask, why are you deleting everything you promised me? He would just go ballistic. He would curse me out on the phone. He would just say, you know, you're the stupidest person. I'm trying to do this and that. And I would like, why are you cursing at me? I'm your client. And he'd just go off at me.
So let me hear, could I hear about the threat, please?
We went to a well-known restaurant. After a meeting that I had this gentleman a witness to, he witnessed his demeanor. After he would go up, blow up.
I would like to hear the threat, sir.
Okay, ma'am, I asked him what he would do if I withdrew from the contract because I was afraid of him.
Yes.
And he said he would put a gun to my head. And then he said he would put the gun on himself and tell God it was because I didn't do the production. And that's
Yes.
the reason why I didn't do
Yes,
this.
sir. Go ahead.
I'm sorry I have to laugh because I don't threaten people's life. And to be honest with you, I have a police report here. He's contradicted himself.
Let me see the police report, please.
He filed to the police department 2 weeks after I supposedly did this act. And then he also states in the police report that after I supposedly threatened his life, he stayed and ate dinner with me the rest of the evening?
Just a second.
I mean, if you're going to lie, think of something a little bit more believable.
And Your Honor, he would go off about $2 parking. This gentleman can witness to the fact that he was having a ballistic fit over $2 parking. And Your Honor, I would like to see if I'm sorry.
Is this the basis of your counterclaim, sir? The police came and talked to you?
No, it's not.
Well, what's the basis of your counterclaim?
The basis of the countersuit is this studio that he's so-called mentioned fictitious. I brought him, basically the contacts, I introduced the contacts to him. And these are big contacts that took a lot of time for me to get that generate referrals.
Yeah.
He called these people up and sent documents that I threatened to kill him and all this. And actually, one of them says, Jim, you know what? Let's let this thing melt down and I'll give you some business in a couple of months. He's killing my business.
That's hearsay.
It's also...
That's hearsay.
Okay.
Stop playing with your papers.
Okay.
I felt bad for him in the beginning. After he signed the contract, I felt bad. He told me he got screwed over by a well-known person I cannot mention. And he lived in a shack and had an outhouse and all this. And I said, Grafton, just cancel it. Take your money back before I incur cost.
Oh, Lord.
And leave it alone.
That is not true, Your Honor.
This is the very, very beginning.
Mr. Howard,
This is
am I looking in your direction now?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't speak unless I look in your direction.
Yes, ma'am.
This is before we incurred any expense and time and effort and work. And this has cost me a lot more than my countersuit. I normally do about 5 to 6 commercials a month. When Grafton signed on, I did 2 that month. And I'm very consistent with the business. Obviously, it's hearsay, you're right, but
It's a very simple case, sir. Your counterclaim is dismissed because there is no evidence. You, sir, are not entitled to your money back. You're not entitled to your money back because you signed the contract and the defendant did work in the furtherance of that contract. If you were dissatisfied, am I asking for you to say anything?
He witnessed everything, Your Honor.
I don't care what he witnessed. I believe
his
everything you...
threats.
Listen to me. I believe everything you told me. I didn't need a witness to corroborate what you're telling me. You showed me a check. You showed me the contract. You told me how long you worked together, that he wasn't doing the kind of job that you wanted. You knew enough to say to him, I want a lawyer to look at the contract. You just did it in the wrong order, which is stupid. However, he spent, and I believe him, that he spent 60 some odd hours talking to you on the phone, meeting with you after work, meeting with you during work, meeting with you in the evening, and you couldn't come to a creative understanding. That doesn't mean he's supposed to do that for nothing. Your case is dismissed. That's all. So is your counterclaim.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have nothing negative to say. I just wish he would understand how business is run.
I understand production. I understand that when you hire somebody to do a job and you already have your own concept, they're supposed to do it.
I told him what he was getting for his money, and I was very specific, and I explained everything, and I had to explain everything maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 different times.
He was having me wanted me to sign off on my creative to get my money back. He wanted my concept. And that's what it was. He's not creative. He doesn't know what he's doing.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nason versus Greenman Champagne. Step forward, please.
Student Jennifer Nason and her husband Todd are suing Jennifer's sister, 21-year-old daycare provider Neela Champagne, and her husband Kenneth Greenman. The Nasons claim the couple owes for money spent to remodel their home.
Miss Nason, according to what I've read here, your sister and her husband were having a little bit of a tough time, and you offered to let them move into your home, a portion of your home that was to be remodeled. And you said, listen, this is the deal. You pay for the remodeling. Once the remodeling is done, you give us $500 a month. Once it's all paid off, you don't have to pay us any rent. You can live rent-free.
Correct.
That's what you say. The remodeling started. The two husbands didn't get along with each other. They had some words. Your sister and her husband decided not to move in, and you think that they should pay you for all the materials that you invested in to do this remodeling, which is a couple of $1,000. Your sister and her husband say that there was never an agreement to pay for the remodeling. There was an agreement for them to pay rent, $500 a month, once they moved in. Where were they supposed to live? What part of your house was going to be remodeled?
We have a little room that is adjacent to our one-car garage that we have.
How big?
30 by 50.
It was going to end up being a 2-bedroom, a kitchenette, a dining room, and a living room, all open floor plan.
Let me see pictures of how far you got in this alteration.
We don't have any photographs because we only started putting down the floor, and it looks basically the same way that it was when we started, because we didn't get anywhere with it because they ended up not moving in. So we didn't end up taking any pictures of it, truthfully.
Why do you think they're responsible for the materials that you purchased?
Well, we were doing this for them because they needed a place to live. It was a verbal agreement that they would pay us $500 a month for the material.
After they moved in?
After they moved in.
They never moved in?
No, they didn't ever move in by their own accord.
Just listen, but they never moved in.
No, they didn't, because they decided not to move in. So this
You didn't expect
material
them to
for-
move in if the two guys weren't getting along. What was the problem?
We were getting along.
Two
yeah.
guys were not getting along. What happened?
We get along fine, as far as I'm concerned, Your Honor.
What happened?
He wouldn't help out at all on anything that we did do in the thing. When he did come over, he'd just stand there, just pick up a couple screws. He wasn't capable of doing anything. For instance, he was taking rocks, throwing them in a dumpster that you pay by weight. And I called him up and asked him to take them rocks out so he wouldn't have to pay so much. He was too busy to come over.
So you were annoyed?
I was annoyed, yes.
So, in case you didn't know it, the men didn't get along.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that until just now.
Yes.
What do you know? You see, you learn revelations every day. Now, What was your interpretation of your arrangement with your sister?
Well, what happened was, originally we had discussed, redoing the apartment, and Todd said, we'll do it, and you just pay us back what you can for rent. And I said, okay, so we went home, we discussed it. I called my sister back. I said, well, as far as what we were looking for in an apartment, to rent your place, we'd pay $500 a month. So then he said, okay, everything started. Probably a couple of days after that had happened, I called her back up and I was like, listen, Jen, we're not going to be able to afford to pay you the $500 right now because Kenny's check from the reserves hasn't come in yet. She said, that's fine. She said, because after all, you're not going to start paying until you move in. And I said, okay, so that's when things went on. Then there was a couple of arguments between my husband and her husband, and then we had taken my 2 nieces.
You mean your 2 nieces?
Her 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Yes. And there was a miscommunication on the way home.
Well, explain that to me.
We had gone up on one day to visit with my brother. So we thought, as a favor, because we thought they went the same way that we did, we'd meet them at the end of the Mass Pike and we'd just switch off there.
So you're going to give them back their daughters?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So what happened was we went down 95 completely. They went up a different way. Then we get a call, and they wanted us to bring the girls all the way back up, which would have probably brought us about an hour and a half out of our way. So of course we got into an argument, me and my sister. So Todd in the background was saying that he was going to beat us both up and that he was going to kill us both if we did not go all the way up. And at that point was when we decided that I wasn't going to put my son in a situation where someone is that violent over something that little.
Okay, first of all, that is exactly how it did not happen. First of all,
Ms. Masson, listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
It doesn't make any difference what the fight was about. It is enough that the 2 of you and the husbands were not getting along. Was there a contract for them to pay for the renovation on your house? Unless you have that contract in writing, you have no contract.
Why did they start paying?
They started paying us for the material.
I have no idea why they started paying. It is stupid for anyone to pay for the renovation in somebody else's house. It would be smart for you to say, look, once we move in, which is what you testify to, once we move in, we will start to pay $500 a month until, which is what you told me, until the cost of the renovation is paid. But that presupposes that they move in. They didn't move in. And why should she pay for materials that she's never going to enjoy? That's stupid. Goodbye.
2-year-old homemaker Margaret Seiss for assaulting her at work. Margaret says Michelle was using racial slurs.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 437 on the calendar in the matter of Yukevich versus Seiss. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Yukevich, you were a waitress in a restaurant.
Correct.
The defendant was there with a group of family members, a large group of family members.
Correct.
And it is your claim that while there, she assaulted you.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated not only for the assault, but for your lost wages and your pain and suffering.
Yes.
The defendant says she never hit you. Were you the person who was serving the defendant's group?
No.
Tell me what happened.
Well, that party had been sitting there for a while, and they were drinking a lot. And I was in the section next to this large party, and I had a couple of tables there. And throughout the night, they were having problems, my tables with the large party, because the large party was kind of getting out of control, standing up, backing into my tables. And I believe that woman right over there was smoking in the non-smoking section, and a table had asked me, to tell the woman to stop because it was bothering them, and they were in the non-smoking
She was
section.
just standing in the...
Just standing in the non-smoking, smoking. So I walked up to her and I proceeded to tell her, ma'am, you can't smoke here, this is non-smoking. She then proceeded to get very defensive with me. And
What did she say?
She said, we're leaving. You can't tell me when to leave and what to do. I can stay here as long as I want and do whatever I want. And I said, you can, ma'am, but you can't smoke here. And she proceeded to say the same thing, call me some names like you white, gringa, weta. And I said, you know what, if you want to be a grumpy old woman, be a grumpy old woman, but do it somewhere else. And I walked away because I knew the situation was going to get out of control. So I went to go tell my manager what had happened. And as I was walking around, she came running up to me, excuse me, you white bitch, you white bitch. That's her. Grabbed me, slammed me up against the wall like this, started punching me, kicking me, scratching at my face or something, and slamming me up against the wall. And I'm freaked out because I've never seen this woman before in my life. Luckily, then one of my coworkers jumped in between, and she's reaching around him, you know, punching like this, kicking, and that's when I looked down the way at my section, and there was a full-out brawl. That large party of hers, they had tables thrown over, broken bottles. One of my customers was on the ground and they were kicking him. He was bloody from head to toe. At that point, I don't know where she went, but I ended up just running because I didn't know what to do. It was like a flight, something. I took off to run outside because I was like, I'm getting the hell out of this situation. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
I have some pictures here.
I'd like to see them.
And I have a medical bill. They're not very good pictures. She did throw me up against the wall, so like a lot of it was to the back of my head. This is the medical bill here. The restaurant did pay for the medical bill, but that's just the... on there, you can see some of the scratches on my face.
Were you taken to the emergency room then?
The EMS checked me out, and then they told me to go to the hospital afterwards. So I went, right after I got off work, I went to the emergency room.
Did you miss any work?
Yes, I did. I have this that shows what I missed several days. I also have a police report and an incident report
I'd
from
like
my
to see
managers. This is police report, and this is incident report from the managers. There's also a statement from Margaret on that day in there too, that it was an incident report, I guess. I did highlight a statement.
Okay, Ms. Saez, now I'm ready to hear from you. You were having dinner with your family. Go ahead.
Yes, but I believe we were there at a different day because what she's saying is not at all the incident I was involved in. We were a party of 23, 5 generations. The incident, the way it started was I was walking Grandma out. She was walking out ahead of me. My witness was walking out ahead of me. And I sent Grandma off with someone else because I saw that they were having words with each other. The part where I walked in is where Hazel says, I didn't know we had a time limit, is what she told her at that time.
Who's Hazel?
This is my witness. Hazel's my niece.
I didn't know we had a time limit.
Right. So anyway, if you want, Hazel can tell you how the incident started with her, and she can tell you what went on.
So that's what you heard. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I heard them say, she says, you Mexicans never know when to leave.
I work in a Mexican restaurant.
Just a second. So that's, okay, all right, just a second. So that's what you say you heard her say to your niece?
Yes. You Mexicans never know when to leave. Hazel says, I didn't know we had a time limit. And she says, yes, that's why nobody wants you people around.
No.
She told her. And then she proceeded to light a cigarette because she had been on her way out. And she tells her, you can't smoke here. It's a non-smoking area. And then she says, and besides, you're just jealous of my white skin and my blonde hair. Then turned around and walked out.
Go ahead.
So, you know, like, blood started boiling, but my daughter grabbed me at this time because there were some friends, other friends of ours there that we hadn't seen in a while. So then afterwards I went looking for her. I felt she was being very rude. I approached her. I was on my way to approach her to discuss the situation. I put my finger up at her to, to make the point. The 2 bus boys jumped me at that time, grabbed me, and I do have some injuries and I'm disabled. I am on disability. I have metal fusions on my neck, arthritis spondylosis.
You never brought this up.
I've since then been, I've had 6 surgeries and been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and all this stuff. Anyway, so I can't move. I can't do that kind of stuff. I approached her. The bus boys jumped me before I even said a word. And they pulled my arms back, which causes a great deal of pain for me. So I started yelling and screaming, let me go, let me go. So my son saw this and he came over, he says, I'll take her out, don't worry about her. So he got me by the arm and we went out.
How do you think she got the scratches on her face, Miss Saez?
I have no idea. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to see the pictures because APD and the fire department were there. They checked her. And, you know, according to the police report, it says that they just let her go. It says battery, but they didn't arrest me. Had they found any marks on her or anything, and it's an assault, they would have arrested me.
They said they couldn't arrest her, that I would have to press charges. They didn't even arrest the people that assaulted my customer, and he was bleeding from head to toe.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Waitress Michelle Yukevich says she was assaulted on the job by customer Margaret Seiss. Margaret says Michelle insulted her with a racial slur.
So my question to you is, why didn't you press charges on her? Is there any reason?
Oh, it took me 45 days to get the police report, like seriously, and then I was waiting to go down and press charges. I know it's been a little while, but I mean it's been in the back of my head.
It's not going to happen. Okay.
Had I hit her,
Ms. Saez, I believe you made contact with the plaintiff. Let me tell you that.
No, I didn't.
Let me tell you why I believe you made contact with all of your disabilities. Because when someone is assaulted, they want the person responsible to compensate them or be punished. If she were assaulted by somebody else, you wouldn't be here. She said that you assaulted her. According to your own statement, you were hot, you got furious, according to you, when you heard her make comments to your niece, and you were hot then. Then you went back to find her. And you didn't go back to find her just to have a discussion, because by that time, things were starting to get rowdy between the tables on your side and the tables on the other side, because this looks to me as if it turned into a free-for-all. So you had not only the opportunity, but you had the mental capacity at that moment to strike out at her.
Your Honor, I wear these rings all the time, plus other ones. I just toned it down a little bit. These would have left some big bruises had I punched her.
Look at
the way the tables are set in the restaurant, there is no way that you can get her against the wall. And on her police report, she says on here that I was smoking, that I was seated in a non-smoking area, which I wasn't.
Police got confused, but the whole story, the story that I get in the complaint...
No, but she says that she came back.
Listen to me,
she didn't talk to me, she talked to her.
The stories that you both told today are totally consistent. Now, the police, in the course of taking down a report, may not get everything right, but the stories that you both told me today were consistent with regard to what happened with your niece, that she told her not to smoke, whatever words were exchanged. And I'm not sure that I'm getting the whole story about the words that were exchanged, because it seemed to me absolutely ludicrous for the plaintiff.
What she said is an absolute lie, Your Honor. All I have to back me up is the truth. Yeah. And when he swore me in, I swore to do that. I would never was a word gringa used, anything like that. Nothing like that was ever said. I don't know where she got this from.
Just a minute. But according to you, the word was said.
Oh, it was.
Just a minute. According to you, the word bitch was said by your niece.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, I believe that. What I'm telling you, Ms. Saez, is that what the police took down quickly in their notes did not reflect what happened on that day, which was basically she told her not to smoke. They get into some words. You're overhearing words that they're getting into, and you decided to have a confrontation with her, which you did. You not only decided to have a confrontation with her at that moment that you heard it, but you got rid of your mother or your aunt or whoever else it was, and you went back to find her. Again, you went back to confront her. Because according to you, Ms. Saez, you were boiling at what you heard her say. And then you went to find her. That's what you said. You said, I went to find her.
Because she was making such horrible racist remarks. And unless someone is there to receive those names, if you're not there at the other end, will never know how you feel. You feel humiliated, degraded. She made me feel like an alien.
Oh,
and I don't mean like an alien from across the border. I'm talking about from Mars or something. Never did that.
You are a grown-up, madam. Grown-ups know that words...
I understand that.
Words are different from acting physically.
When someone is being a racist,
Yes.
It is going to cause problems. No one likes to be labeled with names.
So what kind of problems is it going to cause? What
Call
kind
them
of... Hey, Miss Saez, you see what you're doing?
Exactly. This is what she was doing.
No. This is
she
what
was
you're doing.
And this is why I got angry. And unless you're on that receiving end,
You got angry and you hit her. It's going to cost you $2,500.
Receive that.
Period. End of discussion. Sticks and stones break my bones. Names will never hurt me. You report it to the manager. You never go back to the restaurant, but you don't go over there and assault her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500.
We have been back to the
That's all.
restaurant.
Thank you very
Parties
much.
are excused. You may step out.
None of that ever happened. Absolutely none of it happened.
Margaret, proved my case just by her actions.
Knock the out of the person, if you can.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dagrapont versus Sierra. Step forward, please.
67-year-old Paul Dagrapont is suing 28-year-old car salesperson Vanessa Sierra for the cost of a new puppy. Paul says when his granddaughter's Maltese was in Vanessa's care, the dog ran away and was hit by a car.
Your granddaughter, I assume this is your granddaughter, had a little Maltese dog, and she wanted to breed and have a litter of puppies from her dog. You got the defendant's name. The defendant had a male Maltese. You brought your granddaughter's dog to the defendant's home for the purposes of having this liaison.
Correct.
And left her there,
Yes.
which was standard procedure, I assume. Is that right?
I've never bred a dog before, so I don't know what standard procedure is.
I haven't either.
Well, hopefully the dogs know better than you do what's going on. In any event, having done that sort of thing a couple of times myself, that's what usually happens. You bring the dog and they try to get acquainted so that there is a little, for want of a better, there's a little foreplay. They sort of get to know each other and like each other and stuff. But while the dog was in your care, the dog ran away. You want to be compensated for the dog because you believe it was the defendant's responsibility. Why do you think this was not your responsibility?
It's not that it's not my responsibility. I'm really sorry for what happened.
Of course you are.
It was just a strange situation. No agreement was ever, handwritten agreement was ever made. I mean, if I was a mean person or a bad person, I could have just simply denied having the dog. There was no proof or evidence that the dog was ever at my house.
I don't understand that. If you were a bad or a mean person. He brought the dog to your house. Your agreement was that you were going to be paid for the breeding?
Correct.
Okay. How much were you supposed to be paid?
We never agreed upon a price.
We're going to discuss the fee later. Is that all correct, Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
So I still don't understand why you don't think you're responsible. The dogs were playing in the backyard and his dog got away.
Right. The dog was brought to me on the day before New Year's Eve. I called him that evening to let him know that the dogs hadn't, as you called it, gotten acquainted or had their liaison, so to speak. They weren't actually getting along. My dog was chasing his dog around the house, and she didn't seem at all interested. He told me to go ahead and keep the dog overnight, which I did. I did inform him that I do work. I work the next day 9 to 9, and I would not be home. He asked me if anybody would be home. I told him my brothers and my father would.
Okay. So he did ask who would be around.
My brother put both dogs in the yard, and I do have pictures of my dog and the yard, which is completely enclosed. My brother went back to check on the dogs. He let them do their business because he didn't, this is very important, he didn't give me a leash. When he dropped off the dog, he didn't even come in the house. He just handed me the dog. I couldn't put the dog in the front yard to, do its bathroom business. So we put him in the backyard, my brother did, and when he went back, within half an hour, the dog was gone. They went out, we spent the entire New Year's Eve.
Did you find out how the dog got away?
No, that's the thing. I have pictures. My dog was still in the yard. My dog didn't get out. We don't know how the dog got out.
Maybe somebody stole her. Yeah. Somehow the dog got away.
Right. And I'm not disputing that fact.
So you have to pay for the dog.
Well, I mean, the dog should have been picked up earlier in the day. I wasn't home. I mean, I'm really sorry for what happened, and then...
Miss Sierra, the dog was entrusted to your care in a business relationship. You were going to be paid for the purposes of breeding the dog. If the dog was left in your care, was not returned, you have to pay for the dog. Simple. Did you replace the puppy for your granddaughter?
Yes, we did.
You did. And do you have the bill for the replacement puppy?
We have pictures of the puppy. This is the new puppy, and these are the pictures of the old ones.
Oh, this time you got her a little Yorkie. How's the new puppy?
Playful.
Looks adorable. Step up and hear your granddaddy. A girl or a boy?
A girl.
What did you name her?
Minnie.
How old is she now?
I think 10 or 11 weeks.
You taking good care of her?
Yeah.
Good. How much did you pay for Minnie?
$700.
You have the bill?
I don't have the bill on the new dog. I have a canceled check on the old one, and this is the posters that we put up looking for when Rice was missing. And we have bills from the veterinarian that they require baby shots, so to speak.
Okay, let me see the bill for the Maltese, please, and the vet shots.
We put 150 of these posters out in the neighborhood looking for her. When we finally found her, you know, she was dead.
She had been hit by a car?
By a car.
I assume that somehow she got out because if somebody had stolen her.
I don't, like I said, I have pictures of the yard completely enclosed.
Well, maybe your brother accidentally opened up the front door. I don't know. Dorothy, cost of the dog was $625, and all the vet bills with the cost of the dog come to $1,011. Judgment for the plaintiff. I'm glad you got a new puppy.
Thank you.
Is suing her ex-boyfriend, electrician Bobby Tierno, for damaging her property after they split up. Bobby says he was just trying to help her move.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Tierno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Collins, your complaint against the defendant is as follows. You lived together for a brief period of time. You decided that the relationship wasn't for you. You were moving out. According to you, the defendant became a little hostile, had a hissy fit, and damaged your property, your car and personal property. He says, well, there might have been some weakness in the car that caused the damage. He really didn't do anything. Right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you live together?
It was about 3 months.
Okay. And what date did you decide to move out?
It was in August, the 23rd. Actually, it's 22nd.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
I was packing boxes to put in the car and had the hatchback open, and he came in.
Your car has a hatchback.
Yes.
According to
yes. And he saw the boxes and started freaking out, getting mad. Oh yeah, you want to leave? Go ahead. And I'll help you. And just start loading boxes out and taking and dumping them. And he dumping him in the car, like in a big pile. And one of the boxes, my video camera came flying out and broke it.
So he was helping you pack.
Helping, exactly.
And putting the things in the hatchback. Mm-hmm. And then what happened?
Then, on top of everything else, he put my stereo, my speakers, and he was trying to close the back, and he was doing like over and over, and he did it really hard, and the window broke. It was just a mess.
So that's the property damage that you're complaining of?
Yes.
Because there was glass all over your clothes, and it shattered, and whatever. Okay.
And paints, my paints were back there, I just dumped them out, and they were on my good suits and everything, and so that's what happened to my suits.
Well,
what paint and
where was the
glitter
paint
and stuff
from?
Stuck. Well, I'm an artist, and I had some paints and things, for arts and crafts.
Oh, so he
took and dumped them on top of my clothes, right?
Okay.
And then the speakers and the stereo went on top of that.
You have photographs of the car and an estimate for the damage, so I can take a look?
I have receipts. I don't really have photographs.
You have receipts for the hatchback window? Mm-hmm. That's what I want to see. Now, what about this camera?
The camera it went flying out of the box and went for a tumble on the street.
Okay. How much did you pay for it?
It was about $600.
You have a bill?
No, I couldn't find that receipt.
All right, Mr. Tierno, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
You want to hear the whole sordid story from the beginning?
No, I don't want to hear the whole sordid story. If I wanted to, I'm speaking. Listen to me. You ask me a question. At least give me the courtesy of permitting me to answer your question.
Okay.
I do not wish to hear the whole sordid story of your relationship. I wish to hear what happened on the 22nd of August when you came home and found her packing.
I came home from work. She was packing boxes. She said, I'm packing my stuff and moving. It's not working out between the two of us. This just came out of left field. I asked her what she was doing, and she said that she was moving out. So I helped her. I started helping her
Tell me how you did that.
What's that?
Tell me how you helped
Throwing
her.
stuff around.
Interrupt him.
I grabbed the boxes that were packed already and I put them in her car.
What happened to her window?
What happened to her window? When I felt that the car was full, I went to shut the back window, and after shutting it, or after trying to shut it a couple times, I gave it one good one, and it just broke. The window broke. I didn't do it intentionally, ma'am.
No, it was negligent. Either it's intentional or it's an accident. An accident usually is a result, happens as a result of negligence. She didn't break the window.
No, she didn't, ma'am.
So who should pay for the window?
Well, how about the things that she broke of mine, personal property that...
Please, Ms. Collins, I don't have a counterclaim, Mr. Tierno, so let's not get into what things she broke of yours. What I want to know is, who do you think should pay for the window? Let us assume that I accept your version of the events, that you come home from work, you find her packing. You had no clue that she was going to leave.
Right.
But you very calmly decided to help her pack. And you were packing and putting boxes. I'm speaking.
Oh, excuse me.
And according to this is what you just told me.
Right.
You were packing and you put the boxes in the car, and then you tried to close the hatchback at the time when you felt as if the car was full. You tried it a couple of times, and then you finally gave it one good one, because those were your words. Wasn't that his word? One good one.
One good one.
And the window shattered. So my question to you is, who should pay for the
Well, it didn't
window?
really shatter, it just
Her,
cracked, but...
her, or you?
Well, in an argument between a man and a woman, and we got into an argument, and she was throwing things at me, breaking stuff, you know, of mine, okay?
You mean on that day, August 22nd?
Yeah, we got into an argument.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that, Mr. Tierno.
Okay, well, maybe
Mr. Tierno, what you told me, sir, was you were helping her pack because she wasn't working out. She wanted to leave. You didn't say anything about an argument, sir.
Okay.
So now you had an argument.
Yeah, we had an argument.
Oh, that's a different story. So when
I
you...
thought you would realize that, you know, I come home and my girl is packing up her stuff, and yeah, it was kind of...
Oh, no, sir. She said you had an argument. You just said that you came home and you were helping her move her boxes in the car. So there was an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
She did break stuff of mine.
What did I supposedly break?
Quiet.
And later today,
car just lost control.
He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and like make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it, pulled it down right here, and held it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carlene Collins says ex-boyfriend Bobby Tierno destroyed her belongings after they broke up.
What other receipts do you have?
The other receipts I have are for the suit, my good work suits, and my art supplies that got smashed underneath the stereo when it got thrown in there, and paint everywhere and stuff. And then after that...
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
Okay, just asking you. I don't have a counterclaim, so I'm just asking
I didn't throw anything.
Whether there's a counterclaim or not, I mean, the truth is she did break stuff of mine.
Well, I don't have a counterclaim, sir.
What did I supposedly break?
Quiet. Now, what suit are you talking about? Which suit is this?
There was a few. I don't have them all. I just have like one of my good ones.
Listen to me. What suit is that? That's the suit that's there. Because I have a bill.
This one, actually, this one I didn't have a receipt for.
Ms. Collins, why would you save this suit for which you don't have a receipt and not bring the suit for which you do have a receipt?
Well, because I thought that I could somehow save this one. There's the skirt doesn't have anything on it. You know, the other ones were just it wasn't even worth saving. They were just.
You should see my apartment when she was painting all over the place on my furniture.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear from you now. I'm asking her a question. This is not a bad thing that I'm asking her questions.
When I decided to file a claim and sue for that, I had already tossed the stuff.
All right. He absolutely owes you for.
And there was some time they had to.
He absolutely owes you for a new hatchback glass for your car.
Why?
Why? Because you broke it, sir. That's why.
Now he was calling.
Why? Because you broke it.
Well, how about the stuff that she ruined of mine? How about the rent?
Sue her. Just a minute. Sue her.
I understand.
Do you understand? She has the right
Well, Your
to
Honor,
sue you, which
I thought
she has
maybe I
done.
could talk some sense to
Which
you.
she has done. She sued you for breaking the hatchback of her car, which you acknowledge that you did.
And the time off of work.
Judgment for the plaintiff. The car cost you
Yeah, the
$2,094.45. Thank you very much. That's all.
What about...
That's it.
Why is our excuse? You may step out.
He knew what he did. You know, I guess he just thought that he just wasn't going to have to pay for anything.
When we get in a fight, she'd throw things, and she'd knock over a little knick-knack on the table or a lamp.
I don't break things.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spear versus Green. Step forward, please.
22-year-old waitress Jamie Spear is suing the father of her child, 20-year-old Job Corps worker Antoine Green, for the cost to fix her car. Jamie says Antoine caused her to crash into a telephone pole.
Ms. Spear, you and the defendant have a child in common, and it is your claim that the defendant caused your car to be totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
You were driving the car, but his actions caused your car to be totally wrecked. The defendant says that it was your fault, that you were arguing with him, and you had no business driving anyway because your license was suspended. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is the child that you share?
2 years old.
Now, what was he doing in your car?
Okay, he went to Job Corps about a year ago. He just got back and he just got a job. This is the first job he's had in going on 2 years. So this is the first real child support.
You went to Job Corps?
Yes.
What did you do in Job Corps?
I took up a trade, brick mason.
And you came back and got a job as a brick mason?
No, I came back and got a job as I'm working for the city of Winston-Salem right now.
Go ahead. Okay, he called me that day because he was getting off work early. He wanted me to take him to cash his first check, and I agreed. And so, being this his first check...
Okay, so far, was that your first check that you were getting from your job that day, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ask her to come and pick you up?
Yes.
Okay, so I picked him up, and he wanted me to go to cash his check, and we're on the way, and we decided that we weren't going to go through the court system to get child support. He wanted a chance to just give me money or pay for her. And so I asked for $40 a week. As we're going to go cash the check, I said, okay, this is what I want from you. Mind you, I haven't had any child support up until now. So he started telling me that he wasn't giving me money for me to go partying with or to waste and spend on myself. And it hurt me because I've been doing all this by myself. So that started a heated argument, and we started arguing. We were driving down the road. He got mad. He reached over. He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it, pulled it down right here, and held it. So we went up on the sidewalk. We hit a tree. It kind of sideswiped, and then we hit a telephone pole, I think it was, in front of that, which stopped the car. Luckily, there wasn't a scratch on any of us, but the car is totaled, and my daughter was in the car. We could have all died. We were lucky.
Who takes care of your baby?
I take care of her. When I go to work on the weekends, his mother keeps her.
So you only work on the weekends?
No, I work on Monday nights and Thursday nights and Friday and Saturday.
You get any sort of sustenance from the state?
No, just I had daycare assistance, but that's it.
How many days a week?
5.
Well, what do you do when your daughter is in daycare?
Well, I was working lunches, but I wasn't making enough money, so I had to go back to working dinners.
Why don't you find another job to do if you're getting daycare?
I'm going to school in January, and I'm trying to find a second job. I am.
Why don't you work breakfast and dinner and lunch? I mean, if the state is paying for your daycare, Miss Spear, they're paying for your daycare not so you could stay home and watch soap operas in the afternoon. They're paying for your daycare so that you can be out there working.
Right.
Now, you have a suspended driver's license?
I do.
Why were you driving?
Well, actually...
Not actually. Why were you driving if you're not supposed to be driving
the day that the accident happened is when I found out that my license was revoked. She came back to me and said that your license had been revoked.
Why was it revoked?
Because I had an outstanding ticket.
For what?
For speeding.
That you didn't pay?
I haven't had the money to pay.
Well, that's because you were home watching soap operas instead of working lunches. Now I'll hear you. Did you know, Mr. Green, that Miss Spear had a suspended driver's license?
Yes,
when
I
you
knew
called
that.
her?
I knew that.
He did not.
Did you?
Know
Shh.
sorry.
He says he did. When did you find out that she had a suspended driver's license?
I found out when the accident happened.
Oh, so you didn't know.
Yeah, I know now.
It's not what I asked you. I want you to try to follow what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now you tell me your version of the events. You called her up and she turned off her TV and she came to pick you up. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. Pick it up from there.
So she picked me up from work. I got off early, and the first thing she asked me is about the child support. She wanted me to give her $40 a week. She wanted
Now, how much more was that than you had given her all of last year, sir? Last year, how much were you giving her a week?
I wasn't giving her pretty much.
What?
I really didn't have a steady job then.
Just a minute. Oh, now I understand. So, you didn't give her anything last year.
I gave her something.
How much?
If I could, about $50, if I could.
So you gave her nothing last year. And the year before, how much were you giving her a week? The year before? A week?
It was close to a couple of $100.
A week?
Yeah.
Really? You were giving her a couple $100 a week?
Yes.
That's a lot of money. Where were you getting a couple $100 a week from?
I had a good job then.
So why did you go into Job Corps?
Because I wanted to get a trade to make more money.
Well, you didn't do that.
No.
It didn't help you.
No, I'm still working on it, though.
You gave up a job where you could afford to give her $200 a week to go into Job Corps? How much were you making at this job?
$300 a week.
So Mr. Green, you are one of the most generous people I know. So you're making $300 a week from your job and you're giving her $200 a week child support. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
You believe that? This is coming from a man who didn't want to give her $40 a week.
No, let me tell you.
$40 a week. So you're telling me first you were giving her $200. Let me follow this, Mr. Green.
I didn't want.
You're giving her $200 a week because she had a really good job making $300 a week. So 2/3 of your income you give her. Then you wanted to get a better job with the trade. So you went to Job Corps where you couldn't send her any money. Then you came out and you got a job where you were making how much a week at this job working for the city?
About the same thing, $250, $300.
$250 or $300 a week, right? So why weren't you giving her $200 a week? The last job you had where you were making $300 a week, you were giving her $200. What happened in the car, sir? So she asked you for $40 and you said, I'm not giving you $40.
No, I'm not giving her no more money. So she started arguing. We was arguing real loud for a minute, for about an hour, driving on the road. The car just lost control. So I grabbed the wheel, tried to pull the car back on the street. But instead, the car hit the pole and then hit up against the tree.
Okay. What was the total damage to the car?
I wasn't able to get an estimate because I can't afford to get the car towed anywhere. It's not drivable, and I can't afford to have anyone come out and look at it.
When did you buy the car?
In February of 2002, this year.
And how much did you pay for it?
$1,600.
Okay.
And then the value of the car is valued at $2,600.
I don't care what it's valued at, madam. Miss Spear.
And then
You think that I believe he's totally responsible for this? I don't believe he's totally responsible. I believe that you're partially responsible. You don't have a fight in a car with your baby in the car over anything. You stop the car and you say to him, get out. Stop the car, pull over, and say, get out. And then you would have gotten out of the car and you would have composed yourself and you would have continued. You don't fight with him back and forth, especially with the baby in the car. Don't you think the baby hears you screaming back and forth to each other? 2-year-old child understands that.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. Takes two to make a fight. Two idiots to make a fight driving in a car with a baby. You want to have a fight with each other in a car, bad enough. You're placing yourselves at risk, other people on the road at risk. But to have a fight in a car with your child in the car screaming and yelling at each other is the height of stupidity. So the car, you paid $1,600 for that, I believe. You only get $8. The other $8, work off at lunch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step.
Terus
Light.
sebenarnya syarti kamu so. Fick inte färgverket färdigt.
Stop.
Starta.
Heartbeat एकलच check the way to check heartbeat.